A day to remember for the rest of your lives.
There's a great promise for all of you.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame and Extreme Networks present the Heart of a Hall of Famer program. With nearly 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 48 states around this country, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans how to huddle up during a time when we need to be united.
It's time for America to take a real deep dive. Not at no one else, but at yourself individually. If you want to change America, don't brush your teeth with your head down. Look at who you are and be the example. Be the example.
An opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. Single-parent homes, drug-infested neighborhoods, and poverty.
I grew up in a neighborhood that was considered one of the worst in America, and the household I grew up in was one of the worst in that neighborhood. By the time I was 20 years old, I knew at least 30 friends or family members who had lost their lives. Football became like a second parent to me. It taught me the things that my father wasn't there to teach me, and that my mother, as a struggling, single-parent woman, just didn't know to teach me.
But they learn how to live a life of character before pursuing their football careers. Today, you will learn you can do the same that they once did. Making good decisions can lead to a prosperous life both on and off the field. Your game for life has already begun. It's your decision whether or not you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
Every one of you can have a Hall of Fame life, whether or not you play football. You can be as great as you want to be. The Hall of Fame is all about integrity, character, and excellence. You have the opportunity to represent yourself that way. You determine your character.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, The Heart of a Hall of Famer.
You know, I honestly can't believe I'm here. In 1992, I was at the University of Akron, just 20 miles north of here. 20 miles away, but you know, it really could have been a million. Back then, I couldn't fathom that over the course of the next 2 decades, step by step, I'd travel those 20 miles to be on this stage wearing this jacket. You see, I was so focused on the destination the entire time, I didn't enjoy the ride enough. I wish I could go back and savor every film session, every pregame meal with my teammates, every locker room prank, every postgame speech, every fan that waited outside the stadium for hours to see you or wave at you. So I challenge each and every one of you today to enjoy your journey, wherever it is, wherever it takes you. Appreciate those around you and articulate that appreciation. Embrace your successes and your failures. And understand that each moment is a unique step on your path that you can never, ever get back. Ease is a greater threat to growth than hardship. I repeat, ease is a greater threat to growth than hardship. So keep moving, keep growing, learning, loving. I couldn't have made it in these 20 miles over 20 years if I didn't have you at my back, at my side, and out in front. My football career forever ends right here tonight. My gratitude is eternal. Thank you.
All right, and I'd like to welcome everybody here at Miami Norland High School, as well as everybody across the country tuning in to the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer program, powered by Extreme Networks. Today, coming to you live from Miami, Florida, here at Miami Norland High School, the site of Super Bowl 54 between the 49ers and the Chiefs that we play here next Sunday. For our installment today is going to feature Jason Taylor, who we'll bring out here in 1 second. Before we do, my name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth and Education Manager at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And our mission at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the heroes of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence everywhere. And those values that we talk about are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence, all of which not only make you a better athlete, but they're going to make you a better person off the field. These values, sports teach those values, but you're not only able to apply them to life on the field or on the diamond or on the court, you're able to apply those to your life off the field when you're in school, when you're at home with your parents, when you're out in the community. We believe a lot in these core values that the game of football teaches. Before we bring out Mr. Taylor out here, I just have a few thank yous I'd like to go through. First of all, I'd like to thank the staff and students here at Miami Norland for allowing us to come through their doors here yesterday and today to host this program. Secondly, I'd like to thank our partners at Extreme Networks. They do a lot for us at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They do a lot of great things for schools across the country. So we want to thank them for their support with this program. I'd like to thank our teachers and administrators, both here at Miami Norland, as well as all the schools we have tuned in across the country today, for allowing us to come into their classroom and talk a little bit about the game of football, the Hall of Fame, and Mr. Taylor's career. And lastly, I'd like to thank our students. You know, without you guys here where we're at today, as well as all the schools we have tuned in, the program wouldn't happen. So I'm excited today. I know Mr. Taylor is excited as well to see how the program turns out and all the questions we get to hear. So without further ado, I'd like to bring out Gold Jacket Hall of Famer, Mr. Jason Taylor. All right. So before we get started, I don't know if any of you may have seen the news this morning, but the Hall of Fame lost one of its Hall of Famers to brain cancer this morning. Chris Dolman passed away. So I want to do a quick moment of silence for Chris Dolman, who passed away this morning. All right, thank you. So first things first is I want to turn things over to you. Just you have anything, opening remarks that you'd like to share with the students here this morning?
No, I just want to say what's up to Norland High School and appreciate Principal Redmond, wherever he's at. Is he in here today? Yeah, he's out there in the back. Appreciate you guys having us out here. They wanted to do this program at St. Thomas Aquinas, and I said, you know, I'm there every day, and obviously you guys probably don't like St. Thomas Aquinas anyway, but I wanted to bring it down here, and I thank you guys for having us, and let's have some fun. Let's answer some questions, and hopefully it's nothing too hard-hitting. We have a good time with this.
All right, so I'll start things off here. I mentioned those values at the beginning: commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. Out of all those five, is there one that sticks out to you as more important throughout your career?
I wouldn't say there's one that's more important. I mean, I think the first one, the commitment part, is probably the one that sets the stage for everything else. You know, whatever it is in life that you do, whether it's playing football, basketball, you decide to get into business, teaching, being a principal, whatever it is, you've got to fully commit to whatever that is. And I think once you do that, then all the other attributes that we talk about with the Hall of Fame kind of fall into place. And each of those 5 or 6 are very important to be able to reach the highest level of what you're trying to do. But if you don't fully commit to something, then you're just going to be, at best, average at what you do. And it's not, I tell people all the time, it's not going to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. And oftentimes, in trying to be great, there's going to be more bad days than there are good days. And that's where the commitment, to be truly committed to what you're trying to do, and being fully committed to being the best at what you do, you've got to be able to grind through that stuff and stay committed to it.
All right, so we're going to turn things over to our students right here in Miami Norland for our first question. So I know some students had some questions they came in prepared with. We just need one brave student to be that first person. All right, right here in the red. I saw your hand go up first. Go ahead. You're going to say, you say right there. Just project that voice.
How important is it to have a support group around you during the rough patch?
You guys heard the question? Yes, no. He said, how important is it to have a good support system around you, right, during a rough patch? It's important regardless, whether it's a rough patch or a great time. I think you're only as good as the people around you. Whether you're running a business, you're only as good as people that work for you. In a team sport like football, you're only as good as your teammates and your coaching staff and your support staff upstairs. So, and also at home, you're only as good as your friends and your family. And you can't pick your family, but you can always pick your friends. And I think it's very important to have the right people around you. Me personally, I keep my circle small and try to have good people around me, people that don't always tell me what I want to hear. You can't have yes men around you and just tell you you're always doing the right thing, because you're often not. And sometimes when things are going well, when you're winning or when you're being successful, you're making money, whatever it is, I think it's easier for people to get a little complacent and kind of lose some of their core values maybe, or lose attention to some of the details. So I think that's when your support system and the people around you need to be more on you or be strong there for you, more so than when things are going bad. When things are going bad, you already know it. You already know you got to do something better. You got to find a way to win a game. You got to find a way to get better grades or whatever it is. So it's choose wisely the people you have in your circle, you have around you, that have access to you, that have access to even small things, that have access to your social media, have access to your money. It's gravely important to have the right people.
Now, we've got schools from all across the country, so we're going to throw it now to our students who are with us from Curtis Corner Middle School. So Nathan's going to head and unmute your mic here. So whenever you're ready, have a student step up to the camera and ask your question.
All right.
There they are.
Can you see us?
No.
No, but we can hear you.
So who has a
Who has a
question?
question? Go ahead, J-Mo. Ask it. How does it feel to lose to the Patriots? Oh!
Patriots.
How does it feel losing to the Patriots? Is that what he said?
I think he said that.
Yeah, we did. I guess I do have to answer the question. Listen, man. That number 12 is pretty good up there. And what are you, a Patriot fan too? You born and raised out here? Yeah, you still a Patriot fan? All right. No, listen. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and that whole Patriot team, the last 2 decades, what they've done has been unbelievable. And played against, he's the best quarterback I think to ever play the game. Played against him 14, 15 times. Probably lost. I know I lost more than I won against him, but playing against guys like that, they raise your level they raise your level of competitiveness and preparation. And sometimes they just have better teams, but it doesn't feel good to lose to them, but it is what it is.
All right, our next one we're going to go
He ain't playing Sunday though. I know that.
All right, our next one we're going to go to is our school. We have Hilton tuning in today. So Hilton, go ahead and have a student step up to the mic and ask your question.
Oh, is this us? Yeah. Is this us?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Okay, go ahead, Jaden. Tell them who you are.
Hi, I'm Jaden. What made all your 139 sacks possible?
Can you repeat that for me?
Okay. Tell them you're a fan.
I'm a huge Dolphins fan. And what made all your 139 sacks possible?
What made all your sacks possible?
There's a lot that goes into getting a sack and putting up numbers, but God bless him with some talent. So I can't take credit for it, but I had a bunch of great teammates that played right down the street with me for years, whether it be Sam Madison, the Pat Sertan out the corners, Zach Thomas in the middle. I mean, the list goes on. Trace Armstrong, Adewale Aguli. I had so many guys that I played with over the years that really made my job a lot easier. As you get better and better at what you do, you start to attract more attention and double teams and whatnot. But between the coaching staffs that I had and the players that I had with me, and then just never giving up either. I mean, I was a very relentless pass rusher, and I at 245 pounds, I always felt like I was always going to be in better shape than the guys I was playing against. Fat guys always wore out late in the game, and I was just getting started. So just got to stay after it.
Was there extra determination, as you got further and further into your career and you started to realize like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. Was there extra determination to kind of always better yourself from the season before?
Yeah, every day. And it's just, it's year to year, it's month to month, it's season to season. So you're always trying to improve. You can never stay where you are. And I've always had guys in the NFL that played at the same time I played or played before me that I was always chasing. So whether it was Michael Strahan or Willie McGinnis, guys like Lawrence Taylor, you start to chase some of the things that they've done. Chris Dolman, who unfortunately passed away yesterday. You've always got to have someone you're shooting for, and I had inspiration from guys that played other sports, and then people that I was chasing in my own sport to kind of keep that standard of excellence as high as I could.
All right, we're going to go over to our next school now. We're going to go to MacArthur High School for our next question. So whenever you're ready, have a student step up to the microphone and ask your question.
How did it feel to lead the league in defensive touchdowns?
How did it feel to lead the league in defensive touchdowns?
I felt great, for sure. It's we don't get to get our hands on the ball a whole lot defensively. Playing defensive end and linebacker, particularly defensive end where you're going forward a whole lot. But we practice it every day. We've always practiced with the ball, knocking the ball out, scooping the score, and tipping balls and trying to make plays on it. And I'm a big believer that sacks end series, turnovers end drives, and obviously defensive touchdowns can win games for you. So to be able to do that and be the all-time leader in defensive touchdowns for a D lineman is pretty cool.
All right, our next school we're going to go to is North Collins. So North Collins, go ahead and have your student step up to the microphone and ask your next question.
You were a kid. Who was your role model?
Growing up, as a kid or even as a professional, did you have a role model you looked up to?
Yeah, I had a role model all my life, and that was outside of my family. My mom was my number one role model and inspiration and person that taught me how to be gritty and grind and work and all that, and watching her struggle. But it was somebody outside of my own sport. I played basketball all my life. I didn't play football until I was a junior in high school. So Michael Jordan always was and always will be the guy that I looked at from a competitive standpoint or for inspiration, the way to go about your business, the way he handled himself, everything. So Michael Jordan was always the guy I chased, and a guy that really, I think, transcended a lot of lines and boundaries. Even though he was just a basketball player, he became, probably the most famous athlete in the world, and inspired a lot of people. And I think a lot like Kobe did for a new generation. And obviously we lost Kobe this past Sunday or whatever, but may he rest in peace as well. But his inspiration and his touch on society and on sports and on business and everybody that came in contact with him or watched him play or felt his Mamba mentality, I think that'll live on forever. That's the true side of someone that's legendary, that has that inspiration that can go outside of what they do.
Yeah, too, you echo with I think a lot of athletes said, about Michael Jordan as well as Kobe, and there's been all these athletes coming out, and I know that like being a father was something that was very important to him. And in fact, he kind of embraced after his career was over, and I think that like you said, his passion for what he did kind of lives on in athletes like yourself and everybody who looked up to him growing up.
Yeah, there's a whole generation. I'm a little older, obviously, than everybody in this. Not everybody in this room. I'm sure there's some old people in the But at 45 years old, I got to see MJ play live and watch him throughout his career. And I said MJ, and someone said what? See what I'm saying? But for this younger generation, they saw Kobe. So there's a lot of similarities between their careers. So I think as MJ kind of moved out and Kobe took over the league, everything. He took over everything and kind of being that inspiration for people. And then as he went out, LeBron took it over. So it's passed it down. But all three of those players are kind of one and the same in a lot of ways.
And it's cool too, because being a football player, you think, they're just going to look all these football stars to have that drive, that motivation. But sports transcend society. So be able to have that crossover is very cool. It's very cool.
It is, and again, it's not just about your sport, which there's always somebody in your sport that you're going to look at and try to chase and try to emulate maybe, but it's about the competitiveness, the way they approach the game, a certain level of greatness that, you want. If you want to be great at something, you got to find someone else that's doing it that's great at doing it, and chase them and take things away from their game that you can implement into yours and get better. And it's not just it's not just about your sport. It's got to be bigger than that.
All right, I think we're going to our next school now. Our next school is going to be Herbert Hoover High School, all the way out in California. They have, so go ahead and have your students step up to the microphone. Go ahead, whenever you're ready. Can you repeat that for us? Step back a little bit from the mic there and try that again.
Okay. What the qualities you believe it takes to be successful in area of life? No, wait.
All right, we'll try it one more time.
Wait. What character quality do you believe it takes to be successful in all area of life?
So characteristics you think it takes to be successful in all parts of life, on the field, off the field, business, world, sports, whatever it might be.
What characteristics it takes to be successful?
Yeah.
I think there's a few things we talked about a little earlier with commitment, but you've got to be, everybody wants to be great. Everyone here wants to be great, right? It's something in life. Most people don't make up just want to be average and be mediocre. So everybody wants to be great. It's much like the old line you hear that everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. So it's the same thing. Everybody wants to be great. Everybody loves the idea of being great, being successful, being the champion, or whatever it is that you're going to do in life. But people don't want to do what it takes to be great. And that's what really separates everybody. If you play a sport, everybody wants to win the championship, but nobody wants to do training camp. Nobody loves to practice, playing, hurt, playing sore, all those kind of things that go into it. So I tell everybody, you have to fall in love with the process of being great, not just the end result of I want to be a champion or I want to be the best, or I want to be a Hall of Famer or whatever. You've got to fall in love with that process, because again, there's going to be way more days where it's tough and grueling and not fun than there are going to be great days. And it's just it's as simple as that. But there's something that's so divine about just being able to grind it out. And when other people are, wanting to, whatever it is, fall asleep in class or skip a practice or take shortcuts or whatever, you're gaining on them because they're messing around. I know one day, and it may not be this year, maybe 3 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever, I'm gonna be light years ahead of where this person's at, because I'm willing to go through the hard times, and I'm still that way today. If it's hard, I want a part of it. I want to be a part of it. If it's easy, you can get anybody walking up and down San Marino Boulevard to do that. I want the hard stuff because the hard stuff leads to greatness.
All right, we got another school that's connected, and we're going to go out to Sussex. They're going to have their students step up to the microphone and ask your question here for Mr. Taylor.
Did it hurt when you got an interception and then they tackled you?
Can you say that one more time for me, bud?
Did it hurt when you got an interception and then they tackled you?
Did it hurt when you would get the ball and they tackled you?
Nah, not really. There is one. The first time I touched the ball in the NFL, I was a rookie. We were playing the Denver Broncos in Mexico, actually in Mexico City, and there was a fumble. So I scooped the fumble up, and for whatever reason, I was, obviously trying to get in the end zone, but it was my first time touching the ball in the league. The guys a little faster than they were in college, and somebody hit me. I'm still not sure who he was, what number he was. I don't even know. I think he was on the other team, but he hit me, and the ball went flying one way. My helmet came off, and it was the first time. I remember I hit the ground, and my face. I got up, and there was grass and everything in my face, and it was. So that time it hurt. The other times, they didn't usually catch me.
All right. Now I like this question. We talk to our Gold Jackets all the time about it. that every good person in the league, they don't have to just be a Hall of Famer, has that welcome to the NFL moment. Was that your welcome to the NFL moment, or was there something else that stands out in your career like, all right, I'm here?
That was pretty much my welcome to the NFL moment. I mean, it was between that and a couple games later, we played the Green Bay Packers up in Green Bay. So getting a chance, like going to a place like Lambeau Field, playing against the Packers. Brett Favre had just signed a contract, I think the day or two before, to be the highest paid player in NFL history. Then I got a sack that game. So that was kind of, between those two, that was my rookie year. I'm 21 years old, trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing still in football. And that was probably my biggest welcome to the NFL. Between that and training camp, my first training camp with Jimmy Johnson down here in Miami. I went to school at a place called Akron up in, anybody know where Akron is? Up in our part. You guys probably heard of Akron because of LeBron. So LeBron's obviously the best thing to ever come out of Akron. The school's much better now, but back in the day, it was a little rougher. And right down the street from the Hall of Fame, matter of fact. So I came from there where, and you're up there, you don't see the sun for 4 or 5 months in that area.
No, I'm very happy to be down here.
Yeah,
and
then
right
I came down to Miami for training camp with Jimmy Johnson. I thought I was going to die, but that was my welcome to Miami moment, and then my welcome to the NFL was getting knocked out.
While we're on the subject of Jimmy Johnson, just became a member of the new class of 2020 Centennial slate. As a former player coming into the league when he was your coach, what did that honor mean for you seeing him to be a member of the Hall of Fame?
No, it was unbelievable. And I think Jimmy should have been in years ago. I mean, the success he had at the University of Miami was obviously amazing. That he went to Dallas and won 2 Super Bowls. They won another Super Bowl with his team once he left. He obviously came here and drafted. Look at some of the players he drafted here in Miami. Although we didn't win the championship, he's had some really darn good players come through here. Jimmy's got, you probably know better than me, 11 or 12 guys that he's drafted that are in the Hall of Fame. I mean, that shows you his level of ability to draft players, develop players, push them. And he is by far the hardest coach I ever played for, but love him to death. And that's the reason why I had Jimmy Johnson present me at the Hall of Fame. I mean, he means that much to me. And I don't know if you guys saw it live when, I think it was at the NFC Championship game?
Yeah.
NFC Championship game when they came out and told him he was going to be in the Hall of Fame. And he started crying, got me crying. And it was just one of those moments where it's so deserving. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Jimmy Johnson.
All right, we're going to come back to our students right here in Miami, North, for our next question. We're going to go over to this side. She looks.
We'll be back, man. I promise.
Next one. I'm going to go over here. This young lady right there. Go ahead and stand up. That was waving your hand. Yep. Go ahead and shout your question out.
Trevor Lawrence? Yeah. He's the one that got whooped in the championship game, right? No, I shouldn't say. I like Trevor Lawrence and Clemson. That was a good first quarter. Yeah, I like Trevor Lawrence. You want Trevor Lawrence in Miami? You have to wait one more year. That's the thing. He's not eligible to come out, but I really like Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to be one of those generational guys. I think he's going to be one of those guys that'll be around for a long time.
All right, we'll come over to my guy over here.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Question now.
What's up, Ron?
How did you take the lessons you learned from playing football and apply them to your own life?
That's a good question, man. What are y'all laughing at? I do it all the time, really. I do it all the time, and I've got 3 kids. I got 2 sons and a daughter, so a lot of the lessons that I learned in football, throughout whether it be high school, college, or the pros, the character development traits of accountability, discipline, hard work, attention to detail. You keep hearing me talking about details because the devil's in the details, and those will get you beat faster than anything else. All those things I try to instill in my kids. So I still use what you learn in the game of football is amazing. It's such a team sport, but it builds men in an amazing way because of all the adversity you have to go through, the highs, the lows, the pressure, the physical task you got to put in your body. I mean, there's so many great things that go into it. I still try to pass those things down. So football will always be a part of me, whether I'm coaching it or living the benefits of having a good career. it's obviously one of my favorite things and one of my first loves in this world. And I think it set the stage for everything for me and my family.
All right, so, coming into the program, I did do a little bit of research, and we always like to talk about, the NFL draft and coming into the NFL. And we talked a little bit about with your welcome to the NFL moment. But, coming from a smaller school like Akron and being a third-round pick, was there a chip on your shoulder to kind of come in and say, you know what, I deserve to be that first-round pick?
Yeah, I always had a chip on my shoulder. Now, listen, when I came in the league, it was in 1997, and I was easy. That long, though. So I came in the league in 97. So I was 6'6", 200, at the combine I was probably 240 pounds. And at that time, there were no defensive ends that played in the NFL at 240 pounds. They were like Michael Strahan, they were 275, 280. Chris Nolan was a big guy. Trace Armstrong, you name it. Charles Haley was probably one of the smaller guys, and he was, what was Chuck, 260, maybe 265. So I was a 240-pound, undersized guy. People didn't know if I could play, if I could hold up at the point of attack. They used to call us tweeners, which was like, it was like a derogatory term for an athlete. Like, you didn't want to be called a tweener because that means they didn't know where you fit, whether or not you were good enough. And now they call them hybrids, and they pay them $20 million a year. So the whole league has changed, and everybody wants those kind of guys. So I had a huge chip on my shoulder, and I always had it. I probably always will. I still carry it around, but it's what made me good at what I did, because I was never satisfied. I was always grinding. There was always somebody doubting me, whether it was the Miami Herald or USA Today or ESPN or whatever the outlet was. There was always someone throwing doubt out there. So I would take it, use it for motivation. I never threw it back in their face, but they see me.
Just to put that in perspective, you were the 8th defensive end chosen in the 97 draft. Of the 7 defensive ends picked before you, there was only 1 career Pro Bowl berth from any of those guys. And you're sitting here today with a gold jacket on and a ring.
I found this on
Siri was looking it up for us too. And then all the other gold jackets from your draft were Walter Jones, Orlando Pace, and Tony Gonzalez. So you're a member of 1 of 4 from that 97 draft. And they seem to have whipped on the defensive end before you.
I mean, thanks to Jimmy Johnson, he saw something in me. But any of you athletes out there that whatever you do in life, but for you athletes that whether you play football, basketball, baseball, whatever that has a draft or has this whole process of talent evaluation and where you fit, it's an inexact science. So if you guys ever get blessed to get to that point where even going into college where these guys are out recruiting and, well, why isn't so-and-so offering me, or can't I get a bigger offer? It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter where you get drafted, where you go to school. If it's free, take it. That's what I did with Akron. But listen, it's not about where you start. If you can play, if you can do your job, and again, even if it's outside of sports, don't worry about that. Carry that chip on your shoulder, keep grinding, and they will find you. The opportunity may only come once in your life. And no matter what walk of life, it may only come once in your life. Don't mess up and not be prepared for it. So just keep going. They'll find you.
All right, we got a question that came in here from our Facebook Live feed. And if you're watching us on Facebook right now, feel free to submit a question there in that comment section. We'll try our best to get it here as part of the program. But the question here is, what was your earliest memory of someone being inducted into the Hall of Fame? And was that gold jacket always your goal?
My earliest memory, I can't think back prior to me getting in the league. We used to go visit the Hall of Fame every year when I was at the University of Akron, because it's about 20 minutes away. So we would always go there, and you walk around in this football museum, you see all these great players that came before you, the Joe Greens, you name it, they're all in there. You never feel like this is gonna be me. And as a kid, to be honest, you kind of go through and you're like, all right, when is this field trip over? Let's go back. Because it just seems so unattainable. So my first memory was probably of it actually happening was when Dan Marino went in. And I played 3 years with Dan when I first got to Miami. And then he obviously retired and was a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2004 or something like that, 2005. So going then, while still as a player, going to Canton and seeing Dan go in and being able to really, you can see and touch and feel like this is someone I'm associated with, someone that I know, someone I played with, and seeing his journey to the Hall of Fame. That's probably the first time you're like, I understand it, but you still don't think about it. You still don't think one day I'm going to be here. You keep shooting for it, but you don't count, you don't keep track. You just kind of keep your head down and go. And when you're done, your body of work will speak for itself. And there's a panel of voters. If they vote and think you should be in, you'll get in. It's as simple as that.
So
if you don't make it, it doesn't mean you're not great at what you did or worthy of it or deserving of it. There's so many guys, such a backlog of great players that aren't in the Hall of Fame yet that should be, when people argue that they should be every year. We'll see a list of guys in a few days that, 10 of the 15 finalists won't make it. Doesn't mean they're not worthy of it. It's just, 330 people?
We're up to, 346 now.
346 people.
After this class is in.
That have ever played the game out of, I don't know how many tens of thousands of players that have gone through. There's like 1% of people have made it. It's very difficult to do.
Now you touched on a pretty cool thing. We talked about how many people have played the game of football. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go live back to Canton, Ohio. We've got the Director of Youth and Education there, Jerry Shockey, in a place you're pretty familiar with, where he's in our Hall of Fame gallery, and he's going to talk a little bit about just that, what it means to be a Hall of Famer. Jerry, are you there?
Hey, Jake, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Jake, and good afternoon to all the students, first of all, in Miami, and all the students joined all across the country. We're here in our Hall of Fame gallery, and I just want to put things in perspective real quick. Who is speaking with you here today? And to think about perspective of this is that throughout the history of the game at all levels, there have been about 300 million that have played the game. On the collegiate level, there have been about 5 million that have played the game. At the professional level, there have been about 29,000 that have been paid to play, coach, officiate, or administrate the game. And today, there are only 326 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, as you see here. And so, as you see, joined by the bronze bust of Jason. Oh, wait a minute. Jason Taylor's bust is not on display. Where to go? That's right. It's in Miami. It's with you guys. So his bust is down there. But we're going to just give a little background on Jason Taylor here. As a defensive end, Jason Taylor was selected in the 3rd round, 73rd player overall in the 1997 draft by the Miami Dolphins. Taylor was no stranger to sacking the quarterback, as evidenced by his school record 21 career quarterback takedowns at the University of Akron. That did not change at the pro level. By the time Taylor's 15-year career was over, he had tallied 139.5 career sacks, which ranked 6th in the league handled at the time of his retirement. Taylor quickly became the anchor of the Dolphins' tough and aggressive defense. In 1998, he recorded 9 sacks and a team-high 4 forced fumbles. Taylor earned the first of 6 career Pro Bowl invitations after the 2000 season, when he recorded 14.5 sacks along with 68 tackles, an interception, 4 fumble recoveries, a forced fumble, and 5 passes defensed. Taylor, who led the league in sacks with 18.5 in 2002, enjoyed his finest season in 2006 when he was named the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year. Taylor was also named a first-team All-Pro 3 times and 4-time All-AFC. As you can tell, Jason Taylor had a career well-deserving of a bust here in Canton, Ohio. Jake, back to you.
Thanks, Jerry. So you've had that jacket now a few years. What has been has there been a moment or an event you got to attend or something you've got to be a part of after you received that gold jacket and that bronze bust that sticks out as kind of one of your favorite?
Really, it's kind of every year in August when we start, right when training camp starts for the NFL and actually college and high school as well. We get to go back to Canton for the new class to be enshrined. And you get around the guys. Like when there's nobody else around, it's just the guys hanging out, at the luncheon, and you sit there with guys you played with, you played against, that you looked up to when you were growing up. There's a luncheon where it's just the Hall of Famers in the room. There's nobody else in there. They have waiters and waitresses kind of pass out the food, and then everybody leaves, and we just hang out there and talk. And there's certain guys that talk a lot more than others, but just to sit in that room and be able to chop it up with those guys, and guys like Warren Sapp, and watching him talk and entertain, and just being around those guys. That's probably the most touching time. I think a lot of the guys will probably tell you the same thing. It's great to be in that room with all the madness that goes on in the league. Throughout the year, you're being pulled in a million directions. For that hour and a half or 2 hours, we just get to sit around and talk about whatever it is: football, politics, fishing, you name it. The guys just talk about all kind of stuff, and we have a good time with it.
All right, so we're gonna start our second round here with our schools. We're gonna go out to Curtis Corner Middle School again for our next question. So whenever you're ready, have a student come up to the microphone and ask your question.
Curtis Corner.
What advice can you give young people about how to develop their character?
Advice for young people to develop their character. So, you know, kids these age, younger, what is something they can do right now to help develop their character?
Boy, I mean, I think there's a lot. I mean, you guys probably don't want to hear me say this, but the first thing would be to slow down with the social media and stop letting it get. I think sometimes these kids nowadays and people nowadays get so caught up in social media and how they're perceived in it. And I know my man there tell me to chill or whatever, but how they perceive it. And listen, everybody has great things going on social media. They don't put the bad stuff on social media. There's a reason. You know, people don't post their bad hair days or their rough times or whatnot on there. Like, so I think get away from that a little bit. I think the more interpersonal communication we can have with people. You know, there's a lot of things going on in this world, and we see people come and go. We see people with issues. You know, a young man that you guys might have played against or know, you know, from Deerfield Beach High School a few weeks ago that had issues and is no longer with us. I mean, we need to, I think, get out and be able to put our arm around somebody, lend them an ear, be there for people, and the cyberbullying and the things on social media and all the thumb thugs on social media. I think that really puts our kids at a disadvantage. We need to, and I wanted to say this earlier, with the whole thing going on with Chris Dolman passing away today and Kobe this weekend. Guys, never pass up an opportunity to put your arm around somebody or go home and hug somebody and tell them you love them. And it may sound corny or whatnot. I don't care what you think. I tell my kids every day, 10 times a day, how much I love them. I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have a father ever tell me that he loved me. I didn't know my father growing up. And you can't replace those times. There's one thing they're not making more of in this world, and that's time. They're making more houses, they're making land, they're making everything else. They're not making more time. You can never get that time back. So take an opportunity to love somebody. If you love them, let them know. If it's one of your teammates, if it's your brother, if it's a friend, some of these guys are all you sound crazy telling me I love you. Like, take that moment to tell them, because you never know if you never get that moment again.
I don't know how we can go on past that, but yeah, we saw a lot of that this weekend. With Kobe and now Chris. I think it is for something very important that I'm not much older than the kids out here, and you can tell a difference from and social media has had a huge impact on that. We're going to go to our next school now. We're going to go back out to MacArthur High School. So whenever there's students out there already, go ahead and step up to the microphone and ask your question here for Mr. Taylor.
What was the highest point in your career?
The highest point
of your career?
Playing wise I had some good times playing wise. I was Defensive Player of the Year in 2006, which was pretty cool. I had a chance to go to the AFC Championship game. Unfortunately, lost that game, for a chance to go to the Super Bowl, even though I was in New York playing that year, not Miami. But really the highest point was being selected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Obviously, the pinnacle of our game. They talked about it earlier. There's 326 guys that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and to be one of those guys, be named one of those guys, was a time.
All right, our next question is going to come from North Collins. So whenever you're ready out there, go ahead and step up to the microphone and ask your question here for Jason Taylor.
What is the most difficult thing you faced as a football player?
Can you say that one more time for me, bud?
What is the most difficult thing you faced as a football player?
There you go. So kind of the opposite. What was the most difficult thing you faced throughout your career?
The adversity is obviously difficult. Being 1-15 in 2017 was probably the darkest year for us here in Miami and difficult to deal with. You can laugh, that's fine. But yeah, thank God we weren't 0-16, but that one win was big. But that was probably the toughest year I had to deal with. But you know, as a professional athlete, you deal with it on a daily basis. It's really the pressure, from the media, from the fans, the demands of your time, the demands on you physically. But to do all that and not win games was really tough in 07.
All right, next question is going to come from Hilton. So Hilton, whenever you're ready, go ahead and have a student step up to the microphone and ask the question.
Ask him if you can you hear us, Jake?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Tell him who you are.
Hi, my name is Jacob, and I was wondering what was the most unforgettable moment in your football career? Also, how do you tend to keep a growth mindset after a tough loss?
We'll go that way. How do you, after a loss, how do you have to change your mindset, to get past that and look forward to that next week?
I think it's actually easier to get over. It's easier to figure things out when you lose a game. And I always say, it might sound crazy to the athletes in here, but I know the winning is the best deodorant. When you win a game, you don't pay attention to small details sometimes. All we want. So maybe I didn't, my technique wasn't right, or I busted this call, I didn't do what I was supposed to do here, or I didn't hustle on this play, but you got away with it because you won the game. So all of a sudden, that winning kind of puts a little deodorant over everything, and you forget about the details. I think when you lose, everything's more exposed. So that's why people sometimes say you learn more from losing than you do from winning. And I think it's very true, because everything's exposed when you lose. The coaches are looking for everything. The media is looking for everything. Your teammates are looking at everything. You're watching that film together. Your teammates see you in the wrong gap or see you loafing, which you should never loaf anyway. So all those things become more and more apparent to everybody. So you learn a lot from your losses, and I think that's the biggest thing.
All right, our next question is going to come back from California to Herbert Hoover High School. So whenever you're ready, have a student step up to the microphone and ask their question. Try that again, Bub. We didn't hear you. Step back, scoot back from the mic a little bit. I don't think. Hey, all right, we're if you send that over here in the chat function on there, we'll try and get that question. But we're gonna, since we couldn't hear you, we're gonna move on to our next question here. Sorry, bud. Sorry. We'll talk a little bit about, life off the field after your career, and maybe even during your career. You started your foundation, the Jason Taylor Foundation. What is the mission of your foundation and different events, initiatives that you work on, support, or back here in the community?
Well, we have the Jason Taylor Foundation, which is right up the street. The offices are in Weston, but we service, obviously, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. We're an education and healthcare and wellness-based foundation. We do a lot of stuff in the community. We actually have programming here at the school. Where's my, right here, right? Yeah, the Viking Freedom Riders. I know they're in here. You guys are a lot.
All right.
But we have a big poetry network that we do as well. So spoken word poetry. We do a lot here. It's been great. Been around long enough now that we've had kids come through, in elementary school through the programming. Some have gotten scholarships through the foundation, got on to college and came back and worked for us and be involved in the community, be positive impacts in their own community. So it's been, that part of it has been fantastic.
All right, we're gonna go out now to our next school. It's gonna be at Sussex. So go ahead and have a student step up to the microphone and ask their question.
How does it feel when all those people in the stadium are around you?
Go ahead and ask that again. Slow down for us.
How does it feel when all those people in the stadium are around you?
All right, try that one more time. Really slow down. A little bit louder.
How does it feel when all those people in the stadium are around you?
Having all the people in the stadium around you, how's it feel with all that crowd?
Playing in a full stadium. What's that feel like?
No, it's great, obviously. I mean, it's, everyone loves the fanfare and the pageantry that goes along with football. When the stadium's packed, it's always great playing at home when they're packed. Obviously, they're loud and support you, but it's strangely fun to go on the road too. Some of these places we had to go and play, places like, anybody here from Buffalo? No? Anybody ever been to Buffalo? Don't go. You been there? Welcome back. Yeah, certain places like that, playing in Buffalo, with the nasty fans, and where their fans are like 5-6 feet away from you, throwing snowballs and stuff at you. They used to throw batteries and pennies at you when you came out. It was bad. Going out to Oakland, playing in places like Oakland with the black hole, and they're throwing beer at you and all that stuff. It's just yeah. But to go into places like that and beat them, it's that's a good feeling too.
A little extra motivation when you come out and get hit with all that stuff.
Yeah, you just got to run to the locker room when the game's over.
All right, so kind of change gears now to what we have here today. Super Bowl is days away. We're less than a week away from the 49ers and the Chiefs Super Bowl. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, do we have a Super Bowl 54 prediction from you?
All right, hold up. Let me say, we'll get their pick first. Who got the Niners? All right, who has the Chiefs? All right, we'll do this again. We'll do it by a level of noise. All right? We'll do it by a level of noise. This place is soundproof, man. All right, who has the Niners? All right.
There were people yelling no. It just helped the 49ers people.
Oh, I think if you yell no, it just makes it a little louder. So
Yeah.
All right, who has the Chiefs?
All right. We heard you. We heard you.
I can't go against the people. I gotta go with the Chiefs too.
The Chiefs, all right. You heard it right here. The Chiefs. How?
The Patriot fans, don't talk about the Patriots.
They aren't playing.
By the way, that dynasty is over.
All right, so you're not living in the area now and playing in Miami. How is it important for it, for the NFL and the world really, their eyes to kind of ascend on the city of Miami and playing here in this city and living here now? What does the city mean to you?
I mean, the city means everything. I mean, this is home. I came here 25 years ago. I'm not leaving. Or what is that? 26 years ago, I'm not leaving. I love this place for so many reasons. And from the outside looking in, you look at the weather, you look at the beaches, and it's a beautiful city and all that. But so much more than that. I came here in '97. The city has adopted me as their own, and we do so much here, business-wise, foundation-wise, living. My kids were born and raised here. They don't know any other place, and it's great for the world. And the world comes here anyway to party and hang out and enjoy Miami's culture and whatnot. But it's great for the football world now to be back here. It's been a while since they've been in Miami, and they had to change the stadium a little bit, put a lot of money into it, and thankfully Steve Ross was able to write that check and get all that stuff taken care of. So now Super Bowl's back. The BCS will be here. I mean, they've got all kind of stuff coming. I'm not even into it, but I'll check it out. And they got Formula One coming, and you name it. Everybody wants to be in Miami, especially this time of year. Now we give them a house that they can come do it in, and again, right down the street from here, a couple minutes away. And it's a great city, great venue, and hopefully we get a good game this year too.
Yes. All right, we're gonna take one more question here from our students. You got one you want to pick out?
We got to go too, because I got to hear what the Patriots got to say.
Okay.
And then we'll get one more after that. I'm not going to pick the last one. Go ahead.
All right, Patriots fan, go ahead.
You play football? Here? Obviously.
Yeah.
Another dumb question, my bad.
All right. So, you're a Hall of Fame man, but you don't win against many tackles. What's one tackle that will put you on your behind?
There's been, he said that I played against a lot of tackles and I'm a Hall of Famer and all that, but there's got to be somebody that put me on my behind. And there's been plenty. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, the film don't lie either. It's out there. Back in '98 or '99, a guy who's up for the Pro Football Hall of Fame this week, Tony Baselli, he wore my hind parts out on Monday Night Football. And if they didn't turn the lights out and lock the gate, he'd still be whooping me. And I'm just being honest. So, I played against Baselli, like Jonathan Ogden. J.O.'s 6'8", 350. You know, you give him a basketball, he'll go up and do a 360 and dunk it. I mean, he's just an amazing athlete. We used to always joke that J.O. could hold a cup of coffee in one hand and block you with the other. He was just that kind of player. So he got the back of my jersey dirty before too. Orlando Pace. I mean, there ain't a whole lot. We're going to stop it on one hand now. But there's been some.
All right, we'll do one more question from our students here.
Good luck with that. Go ahead. How was
your philanthropy that you're doing, the stuff that we talked about, you know, Poetry Club and your foundation? How is that impact not only community but yourself?
Oh, it impacts those around me, obviously, because we're trying to give people opportunities to expand their horizons and get out of what they know or see or feel and realize there's so many more things out there that they can accomplish. So we're trying to provide that platform and that opportunity, an outlet of sorts sometimes to just get things off your chest and be able to talk and deal with issues in life. And to me, you know, I was one of those kids that needed it growing up. I needed the help, I needed guidance, I needed people to just put their arm around you sometimes and tell you they care and show you a little time and a little love, and it goes a long way. So, you know, for me and my family, it goes a long way. We love it. We're not going anywhere. I'm not moving. We're not changing what we do. We're trying to grow and expand and be able to affect the lives of people around us in a positive way, like they did for me 25 years ago and continue to do every day.
All right, so last question that I have here, and we end this program pretty much with this question every time. Out of everything you could tell, not only the students who are watching today, but the adults, the average fan, whoever's tuning in, what is one piece of advice you want to leave everybody who tuned in and watched this program today with?
Oh, that's a good question. And I think I already talked about it. And if you would have caught me a couple weeks ago, I probably would have said something different. But for now, I will say it again, never pass up an opportunity to tell somebody how much you appreciate them, how much they mean to you, and how much you love them. Because there will come a time where all this petty stuff that sometimes people were bickering about, whether it's about a boy or a girl or whatever it is, money, whatever it is, between family, friends, acquaintances, whatever, there's gonna come a time where you're gonna look back and just realize how petty and small that was. Life is short, folks. I'm telling you, life is short. And never pass up that opportunity to just let somebody know how much they mean to you, how much you appreciate them, and how much you love them.
All right, with that, first, I'd like to thank you for participating in this program from myself, Nathan, and our staff.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura, for having us. I appreciate you guys.
All the way up to David Baker. I like to say, you know, the game of football wouldn't be like it is today without our Hall of Famers influence. And so I want to thank you for all you've done for the Hall of Fame, everything you've done for the game of football, and everything that you're going to continue to do down the road. So with that, I'd like to give one last round of applause to our Gold Jackets. Thank you,
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Andy. Yeah.
Are you doing something else?
No, we're going to wait till we're in.